What's good, Commanders fans? Happy Sunday. So the Commanders have finished week 1 of training camp. So I just wanted to say 5 players that stood out. I'll start out with the big name guys. I'm not going to say that this guy stood out because I wanted to go with a couple of low-key guys, as I always do when I do my 5 players that stood out. It is warm, so I got the tank on, got my Nike tank on, just do it. I'm going to go with Chase Young, man. I've heard nothing but good things about Chase Young so far. He's using good pass rush moves. He's looked explosive. You look at what he's been getting the better of Charles Leno in his matchup so far. Everybody's saying that he looks healthy. He looks explosive. He's making moves into the inside. Ryan Fowler said that instead of him always going outside, he's using his hands and making moves to the inside. So we're seeing an array of pass rush moves from Chase Young, and this is where he has to practice in training camp. We just want to see him do it consistently on the field, but everybody's saying, his plant, he just get off, looks explosive, and he looks healthy. So I'm really excited to hear about Chase Young. Just seeing his energy out there, man, hyping up the fans, different stuff like that. We just want to see this guy on the field and reach his potential. It's a contract year for him, so he has no choice but to step up this year, and he's just got to play together with his teammates instead of what he did in 2021, where he was kind of just trying to do too much to get sacks and running past the quarterback. So that's what I'm looking for Chase Young this year, to play within the system. Like last year, you saw they were playing together last year. Jerome Payne, John Allen, Montez Sweat, whoever was in there, Hill, whoever, they all played together, whether it was stunts, twists. Guys were playing together, so I want to see Chase Young definitely go there and do that. I think he can for sure. I know he can for sure. All right. Of course, we got to talk about Sam Howell. He had a really good first day where he looked sharp. The second day, I think, was pretty solid. Yesterday was not too good. The whole offense just didn't look good. Threw a pick 6 to Mayo Forest, which would have been a sack anyway. Then threw another pick, but people are telling me that De'Ami Brown did drop the pass. Ended up in Percy Butler's hands. So it's going to be a lot of up and down. They did see a mixed reaction on social media. A lot of people panicking and whatnot off of one practice, and that's what you're going to get from the fan base. But I think Sam will be fine. But you got to understand that he only had one start. So he's going to have his ups and downs and growing pains. He's going to make mistakes. It's just going to happen. So not too concerned. I do want to see what he does in preseason, of course, but I think he is definitely going to be our starter day 1, our quarterback 1 for sure. He has a lot of talent, man. Look at the pass that he threw to Terry McLaurin on Mayo Forest. That was a beautiful, beautiful pass. It was a beautiful deep pass. So certainly has the tools, has the athleticism, can be somewhat of a dual threat quarterback, can run RPOs with him, and he has the accuracy and he has the arm talent and the arm strength for sure. So, but like I said, he's only had one start, so you got to be ready for some of the growing pains that's going to happen with Sam Howell this season. All right, I think that's about it for the big names. Of course, Montez Sweat looked good. The whole D-line looked good. I'm trying to think of just the obvious guys, but before I do get to some of the low-key guys here, Logan Thomas stood out. He's been healthy so far. Everybody's talked about how he has not had a knee brace at all. There was one time where he juked somebody and made somebody miss out there. He's had a lot of catches. Sam Howell has found Logan Thomas across the middle for the field for a big gain. That was from Mason. He has Commanders podcast. He says Logan Thomas looks rejuvenated and explosive today. Was the best player on offense today, in my opinion. That was yesterday, and that was from Mason Kinahan, who has a Commanders podcast, who said that. So Logan Thomas has definitely gotten back to his 2020 form. Mason has a keep it up with the Commanders podcast. So shout out to him. He said Logan Thomas was the best offensive player on the field yesterday. So, and Josh Taylor, who also has Commanders YouTube channel, he said Logan Thomas looks fresh out there, making good grabs, and just got a tight end screen and juked the D lineman back inside and gained a good chunk. So Airbnb's looking to target tight ends a lot this season. Cole Turner and Logan Thomas, they got to step up and be ready. You see what happened with Travis Kelce. Not comparing them to Travis Kelce, but you see what Kansas City's offense did, where they definitely utilized the tight end position. So Logan Thomas can have a bounce back season. So he stood out so far. You look at the clip where Sam Howell threw a nice pass. The Commanders posted on Instagram, but Logan Thomas made a nice catch going to the sideline. So Logan Thomas has definitely stood out for sure. Another De'Ami Brown is obvious. De'Ami Brown, he mossed Tyree Castro Fields. He had a really nice pass over Rashad Wildgoose to the corner of the end zone from Sam Howell. He's connected with Jacoby Brissett and Sam Howell. Sam Howell has definitely got the best out of him so far in practice. De'Ami Brown is really impressed, and Ron Rivera went on to say it in the press conference as well. Big reason why they drafted him is because he was like a highly graded wide receiver at PFF for contesting catches in college. I want to say he was the number 1 ranked, had a PFF grade for the number 1 PFF grade for contested catches at UNC, and you see the connection with Sam Howell there. So Ron Rivera's quote to say one of the things that he's was noted for coming out of North Carolina was he was known for his ability to catch the ball in traffic. He said Ron Rivera also said he led the NCAA in contested catches. He was also one of the top guys in the deep balls thrown as well. So we're expecting and anticipating to get that from De'Ami Brown. So nothing but good things from De'Ami Brown, man. I mean, he's had a really good camp so far. I think his stock has risen for sure. But he is behind three guys that are going to eat, and they're going to get a lot of targets. That's just the tough thing for De'Ami. Now, he had a really good game against the Titans last year. Had some really bad drops in preseason, but the only thing is, can he run more than a go route? So that's the question right there. Can he run other routes? And I thought he did that last year. He had a really nice catch against the Falcons. Had a good catch against the Eagles on Monday Night Football to set us up in field goal range. A lot of people forget about that. And he made some really good catches. Not a lot of catches last year, but he made a couple good catches when some guys were injured last season. So, and a lot of people saying he's going to be utilized more in this offense, the West Coast offense. They want to get the ball out quick. He's a guy that's fast and speedy, and I think he has some yak ability to his game as well. So, I think Airbnb is going to try to look De'Ami Brown's way a little bit more than what they did with Scott Turner. So, I think De'Ami Brown's going to have a good year this year. Not an explosively great year, but I think he has the momentum and the possibility to have a really, really good season this year. So, he's definitely a guy that stood out to me. A low-key guy is Zion Bowens, man. He caught a deep shot from Jake Fromm to end the session for the third group yesterday. And Zach Selby said Bowens has quietly put together a couple solid practices. Zach Selby also said Jake Fromm having a pretty good day. Had a nice touchdown pass to Zion Bowens in 7-on-7 at the end of the series with completion to Cole Turner. So Zion Bowens has had a couple big catches. And he's a speedy receiver, man. He went to, I want to say, Hawaii University, and he's a speedy wide receiver. David Harrison also said good things about him, too. Saying that during the final 11-on-11 session of the day, Jake Fromm launched a deep ball to his receiver, Zion Bowens, hitting him in stride, running away for a 50-yard touchdown connection. So Zion Bowens has made some plays, and he's a guy that I would look for in that last preseason game, the third preseason game, where they just let the second and third string guys play to fight and compete to make the roster. I don't know if he's going to make the roster, but he's been making plays out there, man. And we do have speed, but you can never have enough speed. So if he makes the practice squad team, I would not be surprised at all. Brian Robinson, that's an obvious one, but he's a guy that has stood out for sure. But he's really stood out in the passing game. That's where he's really, really stood out for sure. Running routes, the pass that he caught where a lot of people say he didn't catch it. He went out of bounds. He had 1 foot out of bounds. It's kind of dicey. His foot kind of was out on that play, but it is what it is on that part. But he's really been doing a good job catching the ball out of the backfield. John Keim also said that he's been running routes all over the place. He's been lining up as a receiver sometimes. And Brian Robinson also said he doesn't want to just be a power back. He's been running routes from different areas, and they're not just out of the backfield. His hands have been really, really good. He's made some juke moves and made some guys miss. So you look at the Falcons game last year where he ran somebody over for a touchdown after the catch. Like, Brian Robinson can be a dual threat wide receiver out there for sure. He caught 30 passes at Alabama his last season there. So, and Sam 48 also said Brian Robinson had some impressive catches early in camp. John Keim also said he wrote about Brian Robinson today, but one thing that has stood out with him in camp is his hands. Has made plays in the receiving game in each of the first 3 days of variety of routes too. Looks good. And Brian Robinson also said he never felt like himself physically last season after the shooting, night and day from last year. He said, I feel like myself more and more every day. Says he can handle every role in the playbook. So it's crazy he had that good of a season, even though he got shot right before the season. He still had a darn good season. Had a 100-yard game against the Giants. Had a really good game against the Falcons. So it's kind of scary to think we're going to get a full, healthy, all-season Brian Robinson and Antonio Gibson at the running back spot too. So it's going to be very, very a nasty dynamic duo at the running back spot. So Brian Robinson certainly stood out. So I said De'Ami Brown, Zion Bowens, Emmanuel Forbes stood out with that pick six. Had a really good pass breakup against Byron Pringle. Everybody said good things about Emmanuel Forbes as well. Sam 48 also said that he's balling. Ben Stanek wrote an article saying how good Emmanuel Forbes was yesterday. Sam 48 also said he said Emmanuel Forbes is balling. So, and he's been going up against Terry McLaurin, so he's been learning and going up against an elite wide receiver in Terry McLaurin. So nothing but good things I've heard from Emmanuel Forbes. The pass breakup against Byron Pringle, who's a speedy receiver, who we just brought in from the Chiefs. He had a nice pass breakup against Byron Pringle. Byron Pringle's a guy that has stood out to me as well from what I heard. He had a nice day that first day where he had made a couple catches where Grant Paulson said from 106.7 the fan said that he thinks Byron Pringle was going to make the team. So those are guys that have stood out so far. Honorable mentions like Cole Turner, he's had a good camp so far. Maybe Sam Cosby from the offensive line. That's better from the offensive line. Cam Crow that have interceptions. He had a solid camp so far as well. But those are the main standouts, some of the low-key guys. Brian Robinson's not low-key, but he's a guy that has certainly stood out so far in training camp. If there's anybody else that you guys think have stood out, please let me know. Comment down below. And just let me know. You can comment down below. Everybody have a good Sunday. Alex Commanders, peace. Oh yeah, I forgot to say Tyree Castro-Fields as well. Zach Selby also said another defensive back who stood out in practice yesterday through the first week of camp was Tyree Castro-Fields. He had a nice pass break working against Curtis Hodges, and he carried that momentum throughout Saturday's practice. He's had a nice tackle against Chris Rodriguez as well. So I just wanted to shout out Tyree Castro-Fields. He's a guy that's fighting to make the roster too. At the cornerback spot, they brought him in from Penn State. So look out for him too. I just wanted to put that out. I didn't want to forget him too. All right, you guys, have a great day. Peace.